Hello. So I have a question. If you're a restaurant owner, are your employees perfect? Do they never call in? Are they never late? Do they urgently rush to the customer? Do they follow all your policies and procedures? Is their personal hygiene and personal appearance on point? And do they never talk negatively about other coworkers or customers within the business? I don't think there's an owner of a business, especially restaurants, QSR, and fast casual, that would answer yes to that since the beginning of time. So I do want to tell you a story about an employee that worked for my dad. I worked for my dad back in the day for a business called York Steakhouse. And we had this employee there. His name was Herman. And Herman was everything I just described. Was never late. You know, you could set your watch to him. And I remember one day, I was out taking the trash, and literally I'm watching, a snowstorm had come in, and it was just like a blizzard outside, and I could see Herman walking across the parking lot coming to work, and there was literally like 8 inches of snow piled up on his head. And he was just trucking along, getting to work. I mean, he was that type of guy. So let me ask you a question. When someone calls in sick to work, how do you really feel? What's your real feeling? Do you think they're full of shit? Do you not believe them? Do you think they're lying? And why do you feel that way? Most times, I would say 9 out of 10 times today, when someone calls out, quote unquote, right, we think negatively because the trust has been broken so many times over and over and over again for years, right? This just didn't happen overnight. This trust has been broken down over years by multiple people, right? So Herman one day called in sick, and my dad comes around. No, he didn't call in sick. I apologize. My dad comes around the corner and he said, "Alan, I'm going to be working the lunch rush with you today." He said, Herman, he didn't call in. He just said that he's going to be late and he's not sure when he can get here. And I'm like, oh, my first thought, right, was, is everything okay? And my dad's like, the story's a little crazy. He says, but Herman said he's stuck in a phone booth and there's a bear outside. And we just started, we're like, you can't make this stuff up, right? You just can't make it up. So, okay, it's Herman. We trust Herman unequivocally. So Herman is not lying, right? So we go through the lunch rush. I go over, we had the old fountain soda back then, grab a soda, and there it is on TV. Breaking news, a bear escaped from somewhere, it was being transported or something, and it's running down the road. And I swear I saw a phone booth and a guy in a phone booth as that bear's running down Main Street. So, you know, it took me that was 28 years ago. So it's taken me 28 years to really appreciate that day and what happened. And to today create systems and processes to have employees that I could trust at that level. So today in our restaurants, in our businesses, retail businesses, we're playing the wrong game. There's things that we have to do, and we can't get to the big things, the things that'll move us forward, because we play a game very similar to checkers. And checkers is a reactive game where someone does something, we do something, right? Someone makes a move, and then you make a move to block them, right? So the move was it's the equivalent of putting out fires, right? So in our business, something happens, we go fix it, right? Someone irritates a customer, we go fix it, right? They break something, we go fix it, right? So it's like we're constantly, we're going a direction and we constantly get derailed over and over again. Sometimes to the point where we're like, the whole list of things that I wanted to do today, I'm just going to have to put off till tomorrow because I've spent my whole day putting out these fires and basically being here to work for everybody else and, pick up what they drop on the floor. The game we need to be playing is chess, right? And this starts right at the beginning, the way we hire, right? The way we onboard people. So we need to be playing chess. Chess is a strategic and a tactical game, right? A game where we're planning out the moves, and we bring the right players in to play our game, to do the things that we need, right? We're tactical. And I mean, think about how you drive a car, right? When you drive a car, are you holding onto the steering wheel and looking down at the ground? Or do you look down the road about a half a mile so if something happens or gets in your way, you can turn around it? That's the type of game we need to be playing. And as well as playing the wrong game today, we're constantly getting barraged in every direction. I call it death by 1,000 cuts, right? We turn around and we place a supply order, and the distributors and the manufacturers are out of multiple things. Or the prices of things are moving at such a high rate, we can't adjust our pricing, which means we take direct hits all the time on our profitability, right? Paper costs. I can't believe what's happening in the paper industry. So if you're not factoring in what's happening with the paper, I mean, it's directly cutting into our profitability. I mean, I've seen paper products double. It's crazy. And with the rising, wages, everybody today wants to make more money. And the problem is they're performing at a much lower level than they ever had, right? We're constantly seeing as people are being exposed anytime they have to deal with stress and pressure. But yet, in their minds, they're worth more money sometimes than what policemen make and firemen and medical people. To put a piece of cheese between two pieces of bread, right? This is what's happening today. And then what it's doing is it's causing this revolving door, right? People are coming and going, and it's costing us tons of time and tons of money. So this is why our thinking and our strategy has to be, the game that we're playing has to be tactical and has to be strategic. But then because of all this stress and all this pressure, we start to say things to ourselves like, man, there's no more good people out there. If I could just find a couple of good people, everything will get better. Everything will turn around. But here's what happens. We get caught in this loop I call the karmic cul-de-sac, right? We get real frustrated. Right now you can't see me, but I'm like literally doing a big cul-de-sac in the air here. So what happens is we come up and we say to ourselves, man, just need a couple of good people, right? And then we get some interviews, we get some people in front of us, we hire 2 people, we're like, yes, I'm good. People love me, I'm going to kick some butt, I've got the people that I need, and then what happens? Someone calls in sick, or someone quits, or someone leaves and they take someone with them, and then all of a sudden we're back in that same place again, where we're frustrated, we're stressed, we don't have enough staff, right? And then we do it again, and we put ads out there, we spend a ton of money, we bring a couple people in, we hire somebody, and then, we feel good. We have this euphoria feeling for a very short amount of time, and then it happens again. Someone leaves. People just, they call in, whatever it is, right? They're inconsistent, and we just keep looping and looping and looping every single day, right? And years go by when this happens. Years go by. We constantly think we're fixing it, but really what's happening is we stick our head up out of the water for a second, and then we go right back under the water. So what do, right? We turn on all the job boards. We turn on the Indeeds and the ZipRecruiters and the Glassdoors and the HireMe's and the WorkStreams and all these companies, right? We turn on, maybe we create some new ads, or we turn on an ad that we already had, right? And we flood out there. We put a lot of money out there trying to find candidates, right? So what happens is we get 40 applicants come showing up, pounding right into our inbox and our email, right? Out of those 40, 36 of them don't even respond to it. It's just like they ghost us. They're just not there, right? You almost feel like the company sent these to you and they're fake, right? They don't text, they don't email, they don't answer your phone calls, they respond to nothing, right? And I'll tell you why this happens. Why this happens is the job boards have made it so easy today, right, that one person literally can click a couple of buttons and blanket out 20 applications in one shot. So a lot of times when you're calling them, they see the phone, because they haven't paid their car bill, they're just not answering because they don't recognize the number, right? And they don't even know who they filled out applications to, because they hit one button and sent out to 20. So maybe they did it in that moment because their boss where they're working now pissed them off, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go find another job. And then the boss said sorry, so all of a sudden everything's better, but they've already blanketed out and wasted all of your time. Now, that's on 36 of the 40 resumes that got piled into your inbox, right? Now you got 4 left. And don't forget, you've paid $1,000 to the job boards, right? For these pile of applications. So now out of those 4, 2 of them are nurses. They have nothing to do with your business. How did they even get through, right? And then the last 2 won't open, won't close, won't do windows, won't work weekends, won't work holidays. They won't do any of what it is that you need. So all that time and all that money that was wasted was a waste of time. So the only people that are making money in this whole dance is Indeed, is ZipRecruiter, is Glassdoor, right? And the reason they're making so much money is you having the need to keep hiring people over and over and over again. So that's our real problem. Our real problem is we're not retaining people. We're not holding on to people. Right now, as we're sitting here and we're recording this, I haven't hired an employee in 7 months. Now, I am out actively looking for a couple of people right now, the right people, because we're going into the summer months and it's going to get a lot busier in our restaurants, right? But I haven't paid Indeed or ZipRecruiter or Glassdoor, any of these guys, any money in 7 months, right? Because I use the job boards as a valve. I turn them on to get what I need, my systems and processes, vet the right and the wrong people out. It's the game, right? I play chess. I'm doing things strategically. I've learned to say no to people, the wrong people, so they don't waste my time. So I don't get stuck in that karmic cul-de-sac. So the minute we don't have to hire people, have that need like a drug, like we have to keep, like I just need people every single day, right? We need to get past that point. That's what gives us the strength and the power. So what ultimately happens when we have this feeling is we have this feeling like, man, right? I'm trying to find a needle in a haystack with all these applications. Like, this is what I feel, right? But actually finding a needle in a haystack is pretty easy because at least you know what you're looking for, right? You got all this hay and then, hey, oh, there's a needle, right? I know what I'm looking for. But that's not what's happening today. What's happening today is we're trying to find needles in needle stacks, right? So it's a much different game. We need to have a system and process to weed through the right and wrong people. So when we actually do get to the place where, we get some candidates in and we start to interview them, what happens, right? They lie to us. They tell us everything that we want to hear. It's amazing how much stuff people have done for somebody else, right? And now they sit here in front of you and they want to be rewarded for the things that they did for everybody else, right? They've done nothing for you, but they don't want to lose, in their opinion, they feel that they have a certain level of experience, even though they're not there anymore, right? So they sit in front of you, they tell you everything you want to hear, right? And then what happens when they start working? They do none of what they say. So this is where, imagine, what does a serial killer look like, right? Do you know what a serial killer looks like, right? You could be standing right next to one at the grocery store, right? Like, there could be a serial killer living right next door to you, right? Could be living there next to you for 15 years, and then all of a sudden, aren't you surprised one day when the FBI shows up and they're arresting the person, right? You're like, oh, I thought he was a great guy, right? So what's happening today is the good and the bad people, the bad people are camouflaged, right? It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. They blend in, and here you are, you're sitting there doing an interview, and you don't know what's in front of you, right? So imagine if you had a way that you could flip that script. Imagine if you had a way that would expose the lying, right? Not in a mean way, just it's the way that you ask questions, it's the way you compensate that, hey, you either do the things or you don't do the things. And here's the other problem, right? The other problem happens after the hire, right? We make all these promises at an interview that we have to fulfill. We're held to a very high standard for staying true to the promises that we make for compensation and benefits and all these things. But yet, then the employee on the other side, they cannot uphold the promise that they made at the interview, and that's okay. And God forbid, you have to take 50 cents away from them. It's not right. So we have to flip that script, right? We have to start from the beginning. Before they ever walk in the door, we have to put, how we do things, our people strategy right up front. And we have to say, hey, this is how we do things. So if you come in here and hey, at this interview, I don't know, maybe you're the best thing since sliced bread, you're the cure for cancer. I don't know, right? But maybe you're saying right now to me that you can work weekends. Well, what happens if you come in and you stop working weekends? What happens if all of a sudden when you come through the door and you start working, everything changes? Everything that you told me today ends up not being true. All of a sudden, there's a gray cloud that's following you and just rains on top of you, and your whole worldview changes. Well, guess what? Your compensation has to change. But if we don't state this stuff up front, and our people strategy and our compensation plan up front at day zero, I call it, right from the beginning, then we get ourselves into a jam, right? And this is what costs us so much time and money, right? And it causes chaos throughout our entire team. So we need to flip that script, right? We need to put the onus on top of the employee or the new candidate to say, hey, what can you do? What can't you do? But if you lie about it, here's what's going to happen, right? So, hey, I'll believe everything you say right now. And whatever, you want to make $15, $17 an hour, whatever, $18, whatever the number is, I don't care. But what happens when you come in and you don't do it? Well, I'm telling you right now, here's what happens. So now, if they don't like that, if they know they're being exposed and they have no intention of doing the shit that they say that they're going to do, guess what? They may just leave at that point. And this is where the earth's flat and they fall off the end, right? And this has happened to you. You hire a person, right? And then all of a sudden they don't show up. They don't come to do their paperwork. You're like, oh, what happened? I had a good feeling about that person. Well, what happened was they realized they can't do the shit that they said that they do. They were lying to you. They knew it. Right? So think about how much time, how much money that you saved. That's what I call flipping the script. We put the pressure onto them and not on us. Because listen, at the end of the day, we can't change people. We can't make people do things. Only they can change themselves. Only they can want to do certain things. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story. My name is Alan Daviduck. And I was in the Dunkin' world for 32 years. I was in the manufacturing world for 22 years. And about 4 years ago, in 2018, I was done. I was fed up. I just couldn't do it anymore. I wanted out of this business. This is before COVID and all the shenanigans that happened around COVID. But I could not get people to come to work. And, there was this one day where I remember... my wife was very frustrated with me. She's like, you miss everything. You're working 7 days a week. You go months without a day off. I mean, we could forget a vacation. It wasn't even in the cards, right? So she said to me, listen, your son's got to play and don't miss it. And I could tell she was serious. Like she did not, I could not miss this. It wasn't an option, right? So I started planning days ahead. I started talking to everybody. Hey man, make sure whatever you do, like I'll give you all the way up till Friday off, but on Friday I got to do this, right? I got to be out by this time. So I started dotting the I's, crossing the T's, right? Planning, plan A, plan B. If this happens, I'll do this, right? All to just get out of the store at a certain time, right? To make it to my son's play at noon or whatever it was, right? It's amazing how when you got some shit to do, like all these obstacles, everybody wants your attention, all these things fall in front of you. It's like the universe is out to sabotage you so you can't get what you want, right? So I'm sitting in the back, it's Friday, I'm like, oh, everything's going great. But there was one thing, if the closer called out, then I was in trouble because I didn't have coverage for the closer. And I'm sitting in the back, I'm doing something, getting ready, and my phone starts vibrating in my back pocket. And I knew it was bad, right? And I look down at my phone, and I get a text, the closer calls out. And I threw my phone across the room. And it had to have been maybe the 8th one at $1,000 a piece that I had literally destroyed up against the wall, and I went fucking nuts, right? I was so done. I was so pissed off. I was screaming and hollering, and I said, I just can't do it anymore. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with these people. I'm done with all of this shit, right? And, I remember screaming this pivot statement, I call it. I said, and the employees, like, they're booking, right? Because I'm just going nuts out back. And I said, I'm so fucking sick of this shit that I'll let the customer put the money in the register themselves and pour their own coffee before I put up with this shit anymore, before I lower my standard ever again. I'm done. I'm done with people that suck. I'm done. So I get home that night. and I missed the play. And what would happen is this recurring thing where I'd be so exhausted, I'd be so tired that I'd literally go on Facebook for like 4 hours. And this was one thing my wife would give me a lot of shit about. She'd say, what's the difference between you being on Facebook 4 hours and you doing heroin? Right? Are you drinking? It's the same thing. You come home and you're not home. You're zoning out. You're not present. So my son comes in the room. What do you think I'm doing after a 15-hour day? 7, 8 days in a row, right? I'm on my phone. I'm numbing out, right? And my son comes in to tell me all about the play that I missed. He was so excited. And he was so happy. And I didn't hear a word he said. Not one. Not one word. And it fucking destroyed me. And I could see what was happening very clearly. And I stopped, and I put the phone down. And I said, no, I'm so sorry. Can you start over? Can you tell me from the beginning? I want to know everything. So I go to work the next day. And I was there, but I wasn't there. And I was trying to figure out, like, where do I start, right? I'm in a hole that's so deep. I know I have to stop digging and keep putting myself in the hole, but I don't know how to climb out of the hole. And then it hit me. It hit me really hard. Last night I didn't listen to anything that Noah said, if I don't listen to the things that my wife says, then maybe I don't listen to my employees. Maybe I don't listen to my customers. Maybe the reason why people don't want to work for me is I'm the problem. I'm an asshole. And that's the problem. That's the real problem. People don't want to work for me. And that's the issue. So I went on a journey, and I made change after change after change. And some things I did right, some things I did wrong. I hired too many people. I hired not enough people. I paid people too much. I paid people not enough. I did all of this trial and error for years. And I kept going until I got the results that I wanted. And I remember one day I'm sitting there. It was a Friday night, and it was late. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was in my office, and I had this huge whiteboard in my office. And I started writing down, where I was, what my blended pay rate was, how many hours, direct, labor hours I was using, and then what things looked like now. It was about 10 months later, and, my new compensation plan in place, giving the good people a raise, and basically holding the bad people accountable to the point where they either left or they leveled up. And the results shocked me. I cracked the code. When it was all said and done, my blended pay rate went up by $3 an hour. So I essentially gave everybody in the company a raise. And yet, my direct labor's hours went down. People were showing up for work. People were doing the things they were supposed to do. People wanted to come to work. I was getting more production with less people. So even though I gave everybody a raise, when it was all said and done, and my sales had increased by $300,000 for the network, my total payroll went down. And I just said to myself, this can't be right. This can't be right. I erased it, and I did it again. And I called a friend of mine at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I woke his ass up, and I said, I got to walk you through this. What I'm seeing is unbelievable. I need to take this to the world. People need this. I've cracked the code on how to get production out of people. And the first thing he said to me was, you do realize it's Friday and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, yeah, but you got to hear this. So, what is the SMART system? The SMART system is an application to attract, develop, engage is the most important word, and retain what I like to call rockstar talent. Rockstar talent is the best. These are the highest performing players. So what I mean by chess, by strategy, is when I hire people to play my game. I need to create rock stars. I need to create better people, and I need to get rid of the rest. So this is what I mean by part of the chess and the tactical and the strategy. So I want to say it again because it's that important. So what is the SMART system? It's a predictable application to attract, develop, engage, and retain rockstar employees. And what we're after here at the SMART system is flipping the switch back onto employees, putting the pressure onto employees to do what they say, to slow down the revolving door and stop letting the employees in. If we want to slow down the revolving door, let's stop them right at the door. Let's not let them in the first place. Now, you're going to be getting this presentation. You can click this video, and this video is a quick explainer video on the system in its entirety. It's about 3.5 minutes long. So please, I would love to connect with you. Find me on social media at Rockstar Talent, hire Rockstar Talent. I've got articles and tips and tricks and different lessons, but really what I want is I want to connect with you. I want to talk to you. I want to come talk to you about solving your biggest pains and your biggest problems that are in your restaurant and show you the journey that I took to fix it in my restaurants. I didn't create this system for you. I created this system for me because I'm a business owner. I'm a restaurant owner just like you with the same problems that you have. Now, what you'll find when you join or connect with me on social media is there's a lot of content that will really keep you upbeat. It'll teach you things. It'll help you with, you'll learn a lot from the content that we put out there. Because at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want to help restaurant owners win. I want to help them win the talent war. I want to help them make more money. I want to help them succeed. And overall, I want restaurant owners to have freedom again. I want them to love their business. And I don't want these fucking employees to destroy us any longer. So I want to close out with a quote that means a lot to me. In fact, it's sitting over the door in my office. And when I was in my deepest, darkest moment, this quote was in my mind and I put it right where I had to walk by it every day, right? That the best way to predict the future is to create it. And that's what I set out to do. I set out to fix our biggest problems. And I want to share it with you. So thank you so much for your time. Please scan and check out our website, and I would love to connect with you and learn more about your business. Have a great day.